Well, good evening. It's great to be back with you, and always enjoy the meetings here today, so I appreciate your leadership. As Pradeep said, I'm John Gormley. I'm the CEO at the Mainstreet Realtors. Actually, we're headquartered in Downers Grove, but we have a pretty large territory in the north all the way up to the Wisconsin border, Lake County, and then coming down, snaking around the collar counties outside of downtown Chicago, all the way to in the south in the Indiana border. So we have about 200 municipalities within the Mainstreet footprint and about 19,000 members. And we're very proud to be part of your family at ASAR. I had some slides. I don't know if they're loaded or not, but and just going with the theme of the economy and what to expect for 2025. We have several things. Pradeep mentioned this, and so did Sunita, is that we had our annual economic outlook 2 days ago, and a lot of you were there. We had the popular bow tie economist. You ever seen that Elliot Eisenberg, PhD? He's a crazy kind of economist. He runs around on stage and he has these weird gestures, and he's really quite entertaining.
Backside.
No. Thank you. Yeah, I think does that look good? Yeah. Let's try the first slide. So the first few slides I have, and it's a very short presentation for you. This is really just looking at, and these are residential sales using MRED statistics for the Mainstreet territory. And looking at all of 2024, and this is single-family detached homes, our sales volume was down 2.5% 2024 compared to 2023. So a modest dip there in sales volume with 28,194 homes sold compared to the 28,918. So essentially flat between 2023 and 2024. Next slide, please. Median sales price, though, predictably almost double-digit increase, 9.1% jump from 23 to 24. For single-family detached, the median is 385,000. So I'm not an economist, but simple supply and demand, very tight inventory, right, continues to push prices up. And then looking at the most recent month over month, we looked at the December numbers. Again, this is single-family detached for the Mainstreet territory. And we had a 9.4% bump in sales volume year over year, December 24 to 23. Next, please. And of course, the median sales price year over year for December was up double digits, 11.9%. When we look at market time in December year over year, we were up slightly, just 7%, 46 days compared to 43 the previous December. And then for the attached market, which is, of course, is condos and townhomes, we had an 8.5% jump year over year, December numbers with 1,034. But look at this. This is a wow factor. Attached market, condos, townhomes, traditionally used to be the entry level, right, for first-time buyers. That price is getting pretty pricey at $257,000. Again, for the Mainstreet territory. And then finally, average market time for the attached market to December year over year was 39 days compared to 33 the previous December. So that's a pretty hefty jump there. Under 40 days, but almost 20% jump. Now these are going to be tougher to see because these are numbers from our state association, Illinois Realtors, and these are combining, so I'll kind of skim through these. These are mashing up your detached and attached market. Next, please. And then these metrics, look, and I can leave this with y'all, but it looks at closed sales, median sales price, days on market, all of that. That's all of the state. That's Chicagoland plus the rest of the state. So those numbers are pretty stable. And then month supply of inventory statewide. And here we're starting to see, we're under 2 months the last 3 years statewide. And that's another indicator really of a very tight inventory. It's creeping up just slightly, but it's still under 2 months. Now here's some of the slides that we got from the crazy economist, the bow tie economist, Elliot Eisenberg, and we can cycle through another one. What he told us was, he was with us last year, and he was not as optimistic about the coming year. At the start of 2024, he was one of those economists that thought we might have a recession. In his view, if you were there a year ago at our event, he said, yeah, the indicators are kind of looking like we might have a recession. This year, and this was 2 days ago, he said, hey, we didn't have a recession. And he's pretty bullish on 2025. He thinks it's going to be a better year. One reason is he says that inventory is starting to rise nationwide. Now, he did have an interesting idea, a hypothesis. He said, if there's 1.5 million realtors in this country, and it's roughly 1.5 million, he said, we can fix the inventory problem very quickly if all realtors just list their home. He said that would fix it real quick. We would have a more balanced market. Are y'all willing to do that? Next slide, please. So yeah, here's another, this is again borrowed from him. He's an economist. I'm not an economist, but it's showing that inventory is starting to grow. Part of the theories are, people are getting used to mortgage interest rates now. Historically, 6%, I think Pradeep said we might be getting down to closer to 5% this year, is really pretty good. The problem is, in the last few years, in the younger generations, having these 3% mortgages, even boomers who are locked into a 3% mortgage, it's really tough to let go of that. Even though historically 6% and 5.5 is not bad. So median mortgage payments, these have, again, supply and demand, these have continued to creep up. I think what this tells us is the median mortgage payment nationwide is still about $2,300. Although rents are rising as well. Next, please. Existing home sales are soft, so we're hopeful that people will start, again, waking up to the new reality, which is mortgage interest rates are not going to be at 3%. They're not likely to go back there anytime soon. But also the push for better regulations, easing up government stranglehold on regulations that make it harder to develop new home construction. Mortgage purchase applications, single-family, multifamily starts. He's saying that single-family starts are strong and multifamily starts are kind of struggling, which means that home builders are starting to build again across the country, and that's good news. More difficult for us right here in Chicagoland because of the long, cold winters. There's not as much time to build. Get that permafrost. It's hard to break that up and get laborers to come work in the frozen tundra here during the long winters. So it's harder for us. We have a stronger headwind to try to overcome. Next, please. Mortgage quality. This is looking at mortgage originations by credit score. And you can see, probably can't see, but this blue right here is mortgage credit scores that are 760 and above. So that makes sense that people with a strong credit score more likely to have apply for a mortgage and get it. Next, please. Negative equity is less and less of a problem. It used to be a problem in this country. People were upside down in their homes. If you look backwards in time, back to the 08, 09, 2010, where we had those problems. In 2010, 25% of mortgages were upside down. Now it's only 1.7% nationwide. So what that tends to indicate is there is a lot of money out there in homes. People are sitting on those low 3% mortgages, but they're also sitting on a lot of equity. So that's sort of the hidden piggy bank that we have in this country. Most Americans continue to build wealth through what? Real estate investments, real estate ownerships. Housing demographics are looking pretty good because this is the U.S. population by age since 2020, and there's all these different demographic cohorts. Two big generations, of course, are the millennials and the boomers that are duking it out, kind of like rock'em sock'em robots. You remember that? And like almost 100 million, there's almost 100 million boomers in this country, almost 100 million millennials. And they're fighting for that limited inventory. I'm sure you see it all the time. And that's just sort of the short PowerPoint that I brought for you. Thank you.